Workshop elves and naughty listers, stand up on your tippy mistletoes. Beware the finger-wagging of real-world Scrooge, John Knox. And get ready for a rousing round of Find the Pickle.
Boy, you down there. What day's today?
That's the day where we talk Tull. We are together, feckless momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
A white elephant exchange gathered round the warm hearth of prog rock, in which Eggnog Nick and Ornament Omen will shake, sniff, and peep into every gorgeously wrapped musical gift that ever-generous rock band Jethro Tull has ever laid beneath the befluted fir tree. We will carefully eat our slice of king's cake, hoping to find a tiny ceramic figure of Martin Barr inside. After our Christmas feast, we will hide all the brooms so that naughty Jonathan Noyce can't cause his mischief. We will save Andrew Giddings from a life of selling his accordion on the streets by creeping down his chimney to fill his socks with gold pieces. And we will give Don Perry a new set of knickers to save him from being eaten by the gigantic Yule cat, Jolakurturin. And if we stay up too late, we may catch sight of the great Krampus of the North, his codpiece bulging with naughty children, his flute flails flagellating. Don't sit on his lap, it's Ian Anderson.
That was supreme.
There was a lot to fit in there.
It was very good. I mean, we've got 2 more Christmas episodes. Don't spend it all in one place.
I won't blow my Yule log all in one go. Are you familiar with the Icelandic Yule cat?
I've never heard of the Yule cat. I know Krampus. I don't know the Yule cat.
It's a cat larger than a house, and if you don't finish your chores and are thereby rewarded by getting a new set of clothes, it will come and eat you.
Actually, this does sound vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
It feels like I've seen this in a cartoon before.
Yeah. Nick, happy Yuletide season unto ye.
Thank you so much. We're about 2 weeks out from the Christmas holiday. We're just under 2 weeks out to the winter solstice, and we are X number of days to whatever else anybody else celebrates, or 0 days to I don't give a shit, which is cool too.
Well, we're always 0 days to I don't give a shit around here. But ho, 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 what that means for the podcast is that we are yet again dipping into that wonderful Christmas cake, the 2003 Jethro Tull Christmas album.
Just when you think you couldn't sell out, you make a Christmas album.
And what a lovely Christmas album it is. It's actually...
No, it really is, yeah.
I was listening to it in preparation, and it was really getting me in the mood, I have to say.
I know. When I need like serious comfort, even if it's in the middle of the summer, I will listen to Christmas music.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first ones that I go to because it kind of eases you in. It's not too saccharine. Some of the stuff is really depressing, but it's all really beautiful.
You know, yes. It's like the Jewish tradition of eating bitter herbs so that you can appreciate the sweet tastes. It's just a little bit of bitter herb in the Christmas album. So, Nick, what do we have the pleasure of listening to and then talking Tull about this fine Tuesday?
We have a doubleheader this week. We got 2 instrumentals, Pavane and Greensleeved, but we will begin with Pavane.
Let's do that, and It doesn't not disappoint, and the reason for it being so lovely is what?
It's haunting.
Okay.
It's dark.
It is.
It's slow and really just kind of encompasses you in a warm blanket.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
It's everybody, every single part can be heard.
So it's fun jumping from where we kind of left off in the timeline, which was 1984, and we're jumping ahead almost 30 years.
Yeah. Let's see, last year we jumped ahead 40 years, and the year before that we jumped ahead 50 years, probably ballpark rough.
We're gaining on
yeah,
them.
I mean it's still so jarring, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that these are Christmas songs versus, whatever we're listening to at the time. But still, there's The band is different, the instrumentation is different, Ian's playing and composition is different.
And the recording technique is different. So I think,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
comparing Under Wraps to Christmas album, I get the sense that the world of the digital landscape has mellowed. It's matured. If in 1984 we were, in the young, boisterous digital era, now the digital format is finding its feet. We're really able to see the benefit of recording digitally, producing digitally, because everything is so freaking clean.
It's crisp AF.
Delightfully so.
Yeah.
Maybe now that we are 20, almost 30 years past that, maybe a little too much clean.
Yeah, it does have kind of a hermetically sealed thing going on.
Which for a Christmas album isn't bad.
Yes, very good point. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that 20 years later, we're now starting to get, the general swing is partly driving that resurgence of vinyl, that we want that warmer quality, we want the imperfections. So it's funny. It's funny how things go in cycles. But no, I mean, this piece played so beautifully, so crisply. It's like you opened up a glacier and you reached in and took out this track.
Was that word glacier?
It was.
Okay.
Some people say glacier.
Are you one of those some people?
I'm not. I was trying it out, and now I'm embarrassed, and I'll never do it again.
And yet I cannot get you to say nuclear. Interesting.
Everyone has their cross to bear, Nick.
Fair enough. Their nuclear cross.
Before we jump into discussing the music, shall we discuss what is a pavane?
Yes, I think we ought to. It is fairly germane to the song.
It's a germane pavane.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize I did that. So it's a dance, right?
It is a dance.
Yeah. Ian, all throughout the Tull catalog, sticks to, or kind of returns to that folk tradition of naming a song after a dance, basically.
So the pavane was a slow dance, couples dance. It was common in the 16th century in Europe. Was very popular in Spain. I think that we hear some of that Spanish flair in this song.
Absolutely, yeah.
The word is kind of a derivation of the word Padova,
Oh, interesting.
what we would call Padua
Yeah.
in English. So the word, it means, if you say Padovana, it means of Padua, in the same way that Bergamasque means from Bergamo.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
A Bergamasque is a dance originally a dance, or at least nominally a dance from Bergamo. A pavane is a dance from Padova. And it was typified by, it was usually paired with a galliard, because the galliard was more robust, more fast, more athletic, and the pavane was the slow dance. And the funny thing is about this is that it was typified by this very slow 2-2 or 4-4 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And the steps that went along with it were right foot, foot closes. Left foot, foot closes. There is a trace of that dance in the modern era in the wedding processional.
Oh, interesting.
You know, when you go to a traditional wedding and you're part of the party and everyone is like, oh, we have to walk in this weird way that no one understands.
Yeah.
That goes back to the pavane.
Stinking traditions.
I know. But amazing that we have that kind of like, what do they call that in clock fixing, where it's like there's a little...
Yeah, you leave a little mark in there. It's basically a signature mark.
Yeah, either on purpose or inadvertently, and that kind of cues in later repairers to what's been done in there.
Yeah.
I feel like that appendix, that vestigial dance step has survived through the centuries, and it's very funny. Now, the very funny thing about what Ian has done with it, though...
Wait, can I guess?
Yes.
It's in 3/4?
You did it!
I did
Christmas miracle! Yeah, so there were pavanes that existed in 3/4 time, but they were much less common. He's taken this format, which is really supposed to be a slow 2/2, and he has put it into a 3/4 time signature.
Now, what does that impart to the listener subconsciously, listening to a slow piece in 3/4 versus 4/4? Does it make it seem not as slow? Is it like off kilter a little bit?
Well, you know what we could do as an experiment to find out what it does to you? Is we could go back to the source material. Source material, you say?
Zap.
So apparently, this is not just any pavane. This is Ian's adaptation of Gabriel Fauré's Pavane. Fauré was a French composer, lived from 1845 to 1924, and he composed this piece, Pavane. Can you hear? 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2.
Yeah, that is pretty slow.
It's very slow, but it's also, you can hear the difference in the time signature.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So what typifies the normal pavane is its solemnness. It was sometimes used as a presenting song in courts. So you'd have all of the courtiers line up in this circle, and they would process toward the royalty and then regress away from the royalty in this very slow, dignified. It was all about showing off the costume and all this. What Ian has done by putting it in 3/3 is he has swung it.
I like it so much better. And I think, but the tempo is slower too, right?
Yes, it is.
So we could still drop the 3/4 to meet that tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's not literally just that it's 3/4/4/4.
No, but I think that the difference in time signature makes more of a difference in the listening experience than the tempo.
Okay.
Because even if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Ian's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, dun 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 dun, ba-dum 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 dun dun dun. That's almost the exact same tempo.
Is that also a waltz? Is that in 3?
A waltz is in 3.
Okay.
So yes, he's waltzified the pavane.
That's very cool. I like it a lot. It's so pretty. I love what he did with it. It really works for the piece.
Yes, I agree. It's very cheeky, I think, to take this traditional, well, this classic piece that's based on a traditional dance format and fundamentally alter some distinct part of it. It's really cool, and he does. And on the same album, we see some other examples of that.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a theme or a game within this Christmas album.
Yeah, it's super, super lovely. It's very well done. I love, again, how dark and eerie the sound is, the thump of the bass, and the keyboard's on some strange little setting. I don't quite...
Probably the case. It could be Ian on both.
Right.
Or Martin on both.
Yeah. It's difficult to know on some of these things, but... I mean, generally we fall back on the safe bets, and they're usually right. But
yeah,
it's difficult to know. But it's regardless, they both work perfectly.
It was very funny starting the track up and hearing the synth after all of our discussions about synth. Oh,
I know.
They're still 30 years after where we were, they're still using it.
It's so much more subdued. It's not as rabid as Under Wraps synth is.
Yes, yeah, because again, it's had time to mellow. They've had time to figure out.
Yeah.
Where does the listener's ear want the synth?
Yeah.
What is appropriate for this decade?
They left it in a clay jar and buried it for 30 years.
They did. That's how it develops that flavor.
Yeah, it fermented and it's really good. It's really mellowed out.
It'll cure you of anything.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Probiotics out the ear.
Put it in a soup. We also have mixed in the sound of organ and the sound of piano. Settings really quick. Or whether he has an organ, a synth, and a piano.
Oh, yeah. To me, honestly, it feels like it's all synth. It all has...
album, but I agree. I don't think it's on that song.
Oh, interesting. I hope not to be proven wrong here. They really do feel synthetic.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. We almost have to listen to the whole thing right now, which we won't.
I will drop it in there.
The entire album?
The entire album.
Yeah.
And we can
that's
react both ways to me being right and me being wrong.
So as we progress through the Christmas album, Nick, we're going to make a mental note to ourselves to pay our taxes.
Yes.
And if we remember to do that, we will have the ability to keep an eye out for the strings in this album because we won't be in jail.
Correct. And I think we might have to revisit this question maybe just next week.
From jail.
From jail. So one thing we haven't mentioned yet is Ian's
Present for last, Nick.
Yeah, it's haunting and it leads us. We're in kind of a winter snow oral will-o'-the-wisp, a Sonic.
Yeah. We can just see Ian atop a snowy mountain.
Yeah, he's leaping ethereally better than any human can. He's clearly
letting it go. The cold never bothered him anyway.
That's what I hear, yeah.
Major casting error when they made that film. They really missed
Right?
out on the opportunity to have Ian Anderson play Elsa. He was all lined up.
Let it go!
Actually, I would love to hear him sing that song. It'd be amazing.
That would be absolutely insane. I would love it so much.
I was having a thought about the flute and thinking about, going all the way back to the beginning, the early days of Ian playing the flute. Mm-hmm. There's that sense of just sheer ballsy performativity. We kind of talked with Claire Holditch about this, how in the beginning he didn't really know how to play the flute, but it didn't matter because he was just sheer energy.
Right, yeah.
He was blasting it out to the audience. It felt very external in a way. It felt very for our benefit, which was amazing.
Yeah.
This feels like he's going on an inward journey with the flute.
Yeah. And it's not just this song, right? Like, at this point, there's so much more internalized.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe this song is a good example of it, more so than other pieces could be, and I'm not suggesting that he's forgotten about the audience by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that there is an internal focus here, and you really get a sense of not the character that he's performing through the flute, but really a window into his soul. I feel like the reason that image of him on the snowy mountain is so appealing is because you really do feel like he's sharing some kind of internal fantasy with you.
Yeah, right. It feels like we're privy to something. Ian could just have his eyes closed and be in the corner of the room just playing this song, and we're just lucky enough to be able to experience it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And the rest of the band sets him up really well for that. There's kind of a contemplative feel to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate to the spirit of Yuletide. It is a time when we must look withinward to gauge our own good virtues. I don't know. I didn't read the book. But also appropriate to the Pavane because it has this stately, controlled, I think for dances like that, you have to have this incredible sense of control on the inside in order to make it look elegant, because otherwise it looks like you're just doing a very simple, stupid dance step.
Yeah, right.
Because you are.
I think the final thing to talk about is at about 20 after 1, we get that kind of the breakdown, the spicy breakdown that you were talking about. Yeah. The electro strings come in full force, and we get that Spanish
song is perhaps, I don't mean that you're using it wrong, but it is the danger of this kind of music, that it can be so lulling.
Yes.
That you could put it on and forget about it, because most people wouldn't really listen to it in the way that you listen to it. Most people would put it on, listen to it for 10 seconds, and then it becomes background music.
Yeah.
And so that quick change up, I think, helps to shock you out of that.
I feel like we've had this exact discussion probably back in maybe Stormwatch, maybe a little more recently. I don't remember, but I feel like we've had this same discussion talking about how they drop in the more exciting bits, exciting for lack of a better term, the pieces that pick up pace to pull the listener back in, and I'm always listening, so
Right, right, right.
But yeah.
For you, it's like a shot of cold water in your bath.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to fall asleep in the bath.
That is recommended. I believe that the Spanishy sound that we are experiencing is referred to as the Phrygian scale. I await correction from our listeners. But it is used in flamenco music, Spanish guitar music often. It is in a major scale, but it starts, whereas we would go bum, 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 bum. They would start on the third note, bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. I can't do it. I'm not a music major.
Oh, I get what you're saying, though.
But it has a
Yeah.
different relation to itself. So it's the same notes, but it sounds different because of the starting point. And
Yeah.
that's what gives it that Spanishy, exotic feel to our Western ears.
What's that called again?
Phrygian.
Phrygian. I would like to hear the Stygian scale.
Is that a real thing?
No, but
Oh.
Stygian refers to Styx, as in hell.
Oh.
Oh, man, come on. That is referenced many times in Dante, and the number of times that you have referenced.
Stygian. Interesting. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There's also Super Phrygian. That is a real scale.
I'm a super fridge, I'm super Phrygian. Out of this paper bag and dive into the next instrumental, the lovely Greensleeved. Past tense. Little number. It was a nice follow-up to Pavane, I would say.
Yeah.
Just for reference, Pavane was track number 9. Greensleeved is track number 11 off of the Christmas album.
Yeah, thank you for noting that. We're jumping around a little bit. Partly that's because next week we're going to cover First Snow on Brooklyn, a.k.a. the saddest song ever since Jacques Brel released Ne me quitte pas.
Which is track number 10. That's the one that falls in between these two.
Indeed. No doubt some of our listeners will be familiar with the origin of the song Greensleeves, or at least the purported origin.
Correct, yeah.
Do you recall?
So supposedly, King Henry VIII, Hank Ocho, as I like to call him,
You do like to call him that.
wrote this for his lover and future queen consort, Anne Boleyn.
Future mother of the future queen of England, the OG Elizabeth I. Ellie Uno, as I like to call her.
Right, yeah. That's what you have her in in your phone.
In my phone,
Yeah.
that's what I have her in, yeah. Yeah, so a classic traditional tune from the Tudor era. Now, there is some scholarly dispute as to whether or not, in fact, Henry VIII actually wrote that song, but for our purposes, it doesn't really hurt us either way to say that he did or he didn't, and I like to think that he did.
You close your ears for just a moment while I say that the piece is actually based on an Italian style of composition that didn't reach England until after Hank died, making it more likely an Elizabethan origin.
I just got back, and I'm thrilled to say that I'm sure you were talking about how great Henry VIII was for composing this song.
That's it. Thanks, Hank, for your contributions.
Well, and what is probably the case is that he didn't necessarily come up with the tune or compose the tune. He probably wrote the lyrics that we know today,
It's possible, sure.
because that was much more in his wheelhouse.
Yes, that's true, yeah. Yeah, he did write other songs. It's not unheard of for him to have written songs.
Pastimes with Good Company.
Yeah, exactly. Which was King Henry's madrigal, if you will recall.
I will recall.
So the actual lyrics are the love song to Anne Boleyn, which apparently they have something to do with Anne Boleyn's rejections of his attempts at seduction, which leads to the line, "Cast me off discourteously."
Because she was super smart.
She saw the pattern of heads on pikes and decided,
Goals.
maybe not. Or maybe. I mean, how often can you turn down a king before you finally have to say,
However many times. Yeah. However many times she did, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So now we get into the what we are presented with by this wonderful band, Jethro Tull, of whom we are so fond.
Right. And this is used on the Christmas song because it's classical, just because the lyrics for the traditional Greensleeves are not terribly Christmassy. There are other versions put to this song.
That's right. The famous Christmas version, What Child Is This?
Yeah.
Is sung to the same tune, maybe with one slight change of one of the notes.
Which is also about Anne Boleyn not dating Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What child is this?
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad that we are covering these two songs, Pavane and Greensleeved, together, because it helps us solve a mathematical riddle.
Ooh.
I saw you counting along with Greensleeved. Did you, this is the fun game where we ask, what time signature was that in?
I wasn't paying too much attention.
Any guesses?
Is it an 8/4?
Ooh, so close.
Or is it 4/4? It's just a
Neither.
fast... What is it?
So, the original tune is in 6/8.
Oh.
Bum bum dum dum 3 4 5 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6, something like that. Ian has taken the 1 from Pavane and put it into Greensleeved, resulting in a 7/8 time signature.
I never in a million years would have gotten that.
It is a really strange time signature. Funnily enough, I think we have the same time signature on Solstice Bells. No, wait a minute. 7 druids danced in 7 time, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also in
Interesting.
7. And that's what gives it that. I mean, again, sort of the theme with this album is taking songs that we recognize, taking tunes that we recognize, and progifying them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So with Pavane, we have this very familiar thing which we swing by putting it into 3/4 rather than 4/4. And
Right.
with Greensleeved, we take the tune that everybody knows and we add an extra beat to the measure, kind of putting it almost in between a waltz feeling that we are used to or a more common time 4/4 piece. And that's what gives it that
Yeah.
gives it that spicy feeling.
Yeah, that's very accurate. I've used it before, but there's a very funky feel to this.
Yeah. And there's a long tradition of, the jazz cats getting the Christmas gig.
Yeah.
And taking the traditional song and, we're going to play it with the jazz now. But this is sort of taking it a step further.
And the old ladies get the vapors. Oh,
Yeah.
they're playing jazz.
Yes, exactly. When our generation are old ladies, they'll be getting the vapes.
Yes, the vapes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go back to funky. Like, what a funky tune. We get Ian flute immediately in the beginning this time.
It comes to the forefront. It's the most brandy-soaked cherry on the fruitcake that is Greensleeved.
And really hammering the funk nail in the funk coffin is the bass. Like, it's so funky. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It's so prominent.
Jonathan Noyce doing fantastic work on the bass.
Yeah, he is crazy funky, super fun, very prominent, he's the one that like seals the funk coffin with the funk nails. He just really makes it what it is. And it's great.
A little layer of funk glue to make it airtight.
Yeah, funk wood glue, just to be safe. Yeah, funk caulk.
I can't wait to be buried in my funk coffin.
There's just vibrating discs, so you never stop moving. Eventually you turn to jelly. Well, I guess that would happen anyway once you start to rot,
But more so in the vibrating
more so.
coffin.
Yeah, exactly. And we get the nice, fun beginning, and then we kind of go back into that Spanishy sound that we heard just the last track on Pavane. We get into that kind of flamenco-ish acoustic.
Yes, we do. There's also Martin Barre rips an electric solo that really I was like, oh, this is Martin Barre's Carlos Santana moment.
To me, it was a little more Mark Knopfler.
There was a touch of Knopfler.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, but my sense of it was, early 2000s, late 1990s Santana.
Sure.
Where it's just that kind of like bold, screaming.
Yeah, I get it.
But, I mean, any way you cut it, fantastic. And it's worth remembering this is the last Tull album on which Martin Barre plays.
That is regrettably true.
Pretty wild to think about.
So we get that flamenco sting, and then Ian comes back in with the flute, joined by the maraca.
Why not?
It's so good, so fun. Then we keep kind of repeating and rotating the sounds and the instruments. We get another slow bit where it's Ian, and then we get the really pretty picky guitar. Boom, 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 and then this is one of the instances where they all go through and kind of give us the theme, but it's played by each instrument.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Rotating through like you said.
And then my favorite part of the breakdown is the synth piano. Is so lovely. And there's actually like rising organ in the back as well. As he's like sweeping up and down, the organ just kind of crests as a wave. And this is my favorite part. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. And then we fall into the last of the kind of wrap up of that aside with just the bass, just Jonathan Noyce going super funk.
Back in our regular episodes where we're just wrapping up under wraps, or have just wrapped up under wraps, I think we're really learning, we're really getting the experience of, we're getting the PJV experience and really learning how valuable the synth is to the band. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool to jump ahead 30 years and see how that role has stayed and has progressed and developed.
Yeah.
In the hands of a player like Giddings, who can play not only anything that has keys, but also other things that have keys.
Anything and other things. Yeah.
He plays the white ones and the black ones.
The synth has lost its novelty. It's not so prominent. It doesn't have PJV backing it, who is novel to the band as well, who is also thinking in kind of other terms of the instrumentation and the production. By this point, Tull is really cemented as Ian Anderson with the Jethro Tull Band.
And it feels comfortable. There's a level of...
Oh, yeah. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that's so lovely about this album is that the music that they're playing is really complex. I was just looking through the track listing, and on the theme of things being played in key signatures that are not recommended.
Not recommended. Not medically advised.
We have Ring Out Solstice Bells, which is played in 7/8.
Yep.
We have We Five Kings.
Yep, which we will be talking about in 2 weeks.
Guess what time signature that's played in?
7/5.
It's got a 5 in it.
Oh, okay. 57.
It's 57 4-time, yep.
Yep, okay.
And so they're doing all these things that are really complex, and they're doing it with such a sense of relaxed precision that it tricks you into thinking that it's easy or simple.
Yeah. There's so many layers and there's so many instruments playing and stuff. Like, it's complex, but this is a sleeper prog album. You don't know that it's prog. And I bet I could probably get away with playing this to Raven. Or at least playing it in the car where she can't go anywhere.
It's important to have a captive audience.
And I don't think she would terribly object to it because everything is so pretty and subtly complex.
My goal is to break into the music room, the broadcast room of the local mall.
Okay.
And play the Jethro Tull Christmas album on a loop, and then lock the door and superglue it shut, so Mariah Carey can't get a single play in that mall.
Yeah. Grudge against Mariah.
Yeah. That's the real war on Christmas. Oh, right at the end, with seconds left, in overtime, in injury time in this song, we get, and it's not a long song, it's like 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah, just over 2.
We have a completely unnecessary, ridiculous key change. Literally with 10 seconds to go in the song. It is the final thing that we hear right before the Jonathan Noyce bass wrap up there at the end.
That is wacky and fun, and maybe that's kind of a ha-ha tee-hee, look at what we did, we snuck this one past you kind of thing.
It's just it's like the extra decoration. It's like, all right, we've decorated the house. It looks great. It's tasteful. Cool. What if we put one more wreath?
What if I hang a series of smaller wreaths around this one wreath?
Yeah, it's the exuberance of celebration that leads you to something that's not necessary, but why not?
Little flair.
That's a little flair, yeah. Nick, what do you think Henry VIII would have thought about this rendition of the song Greensleeves?
I think he would want it to bear his heir, and then he would cut its head off.
Yeah, that's true.
But while he was courting it and trying to produce progeny, I think he'd like it a lot.
He would spend thousands of pounds trying to this song.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, it is worthy of that, I would say.
There's a barony in Cheshire which is the result of my erection.
Omen, you know what we are covering next week.
I sure do, and I'm apprehensive about it.
Are you?
I am.
Is it not one of the saddest songs known to man?
You know, it is one of the saddest songs known to man, and it gives me the feels.
Oh, it's so lovely.
And unlike Katy Perry, I am afraid to catch feels.
Is that a Katy Perry song?
She features on it, yeah.
Oh, features.
It's a collab.
I'm sure it is.
Oh, yeah, it's Ferrero.
Ferrero Rocher.
It's Calvin Harris, Pharrell Williams, and Katy Perry.
Baby, I know you ain't scared to catch feels with me.
Next week, we are talking about First Snow on Brooklyn. And until then, whether you are from Padova or Bergamo, your money's still green to us. So dip into the holiday spirit and subscribe to our Patreon account for a mere $5 a month. That will get you the stocking stuffers of 2 extra podcasts per month and the Joy of Mankind, which is the community of Tullskulls who exist on our Discord chat.
Not only is your money green, but your sleeves too can be green. They can be red, they can be white. Wow. You can choose so many different colors for the Talk Tull to Me t-shirt that you're going to buy. The link to our TeePublic page can be found in the show notes.
Yeah.
And supposedly King Henry liked green sleeves, and supposedly he liked Anne Boleyn. Mm-hmm. And supposedly you like Talk Tull to Me, right? So if you like us, please do us a favor and rate and review us so others can like us too. Until next week, I am the future Queen Consort, Nick McGill.
I am the highly decorated heeled shoe that you can see under my lifted skirts, Omen Thomas Sade.
This is Henry VIII's rejected lover, Talk Tull to Me.
And we are a slow promenade backwards, Talk Tull.
I dream of you at night, I long for you by day. I'm no good with any other woman. I think of nothing but you. Of you and me playing dog and bitch, of you and me playing horse and mare, of you and me in every way. I want to fill you up, night after night. I want to fill you up with sons.
Bastards. They would be bastards.